Hey guys, my name's PK, and so many of you get taken for a ride in the Australian property market by thousands of companies that do you more of a disservice than a service. So in this episode, I'll be talking about 10 things or 10 ways in which you can do some serious due diligence on a company that you're looking to use, whether it's a property investment company, a builder, a developer, a buyer's agent, someone selling a course. In all these things, there are good people and there are bad people. The problem is that when you guys, or when we all become overwhelmed by the amount of information online, the amount of options, and just say, look, it's all too hard, I'm just going with this person because I've seen their Facebook ad the most, all right? Or I've seen their YouTube ad the most, which you might have seen at the start of this video. Okay, so you might find someone that you think is just perfect, but there are thousands of options out there. This episode will tell you how to filter them down. Okay, everyone is trying to sell you something in the property market, including me. So you need to really see the forest from the trees. Okay, and I want to give you an example as well. You know, there's this one buyer's agency company. They're not the C team, they're not the B team. I don't want to mention their name. I'm not saying whether they are good, nor am I saying that they are bad. All I am saying is that they had hundreds of clients and now they have zero social presence. So they've just disappeared. Now, I'm not casting judgment upon them. I don't know publicly what the reason was. But all I can say is that they were huge. They were spending more than $100,000 on Facebook ads every single year, and now they have zero Facebook presence. In fact, they have a Facebook group which is there. Someone has a Facebook group there to expose them. Now, this is not intended to be anything negative about that company, but I don't know whether they are good or bad. All I'm saying is that these things happen. So you guys, we all need to be cautious, okay? So let's get into it. Number one thing that you need to be doing in terms of your due diligence is you need to ask, is this company getting paid by anyone else except for me? Okay? I am going to be their potential client. Are they getting paid by anyone except for me? If they are, then alarm bells should be ringing. I know so many of you think that, oh, there's this property investment company, they're being very honest with me, they're telling me that they're getting paid by this developer, they're getting this kickback, so I can trust them because they're being honest. But think about the incentive structure. If someone is being honest about getting those kickbacks, but at the same time, they have a business model that depends on getting paid by you and someone else, just think about where their motives lie. Now, not all of them are bad, but I can say that probably most of them aren't worth pursuing. So that's the first one. How do they get paid? The second one is quite obvious. See their Google reviews. You know, if they don't have a Google My Business account, or if they just have like 2 or 3 random reviews, you know, then that's something to further explore. You're really looking for someone who has dozens and dozens and dozens of reviews on Google. On Facebook, you need to check once again whether they just have a couple of random Facebook reviews or whether they have, 10, 20, 30, etc. Facebook reviews. And here it's very important, because Facebook reviews can be faked, right? It's very important to see the length of the review. Normally, I think when someone tries to fake it, they pay someone in India or China or Indonesia or America, I don't know where, to fake them. They're normally, you can tell it's faked. It's like, oh, PK Gupta was excellent. He really helped me buy a stellar property. Thank you so much. It's kind of bland and sterile. Look for lengthy, emotive reviews. Those are the ones that you can actually trust. Those are the ones, maybe with even some spelling errors. Those are the ones that are like authentic. They're actually genuine. Okay, so that's the third thing. Look for their Facebook reviews. The fourth thing is you need to have the ability to direct message or personal message their clients without being solicited. Okay, so what I mean by that is, I can go to a buyer's agency, a property investment company, someone trying to sell me a course, etc., and I'll ask them, hey, I'm interested, but can you send me a couple of clients that have got great results? Of course they're going to have some clients that got great results, right? Every company has some success stories. You're trying to find whether they have the majority of their clients achieving success or a minority. Because if you're just asking for references, they can just give you that small minority that had success. So you need to only work with someone where you have the ability to approach their clients directly. Okay, so that might mean they have a Facebook group and they tag their clients. You can DM them. That may mean that they have some other method by which they tell you who their clients are. And that's quite hard to do because most people, when it comes to finances, are quite private. Okay, so they need a sort of good quantum of clients for that to be even an option. But just asking for references won't work because they're going to be selective of who they tell you. It's almost like not worth the time and effort. Make sure you can ask their clients their experience directly without going through that company. That's really, really important. That's the fourth one. The fifth due diligence, or the fifth due diligence detail or aspect that you need to really keep in mind and implement when thinking about which property company to go with, is that they must have dozens, if not hundreds of deals posted with their clients tagged, so they can't make stuff up, right? Like anyone who's watching this on the episode, on podcast, or here on YouTube, or on my Facebook group, anyone can start a Facebook page or a website and just make some stuff up. Like there's no accountability over that. Anyone can say, I can say, I have a client named Joe Blog and he achieved $1 million of equity in 2 months. Like anyone can make that stuff up. You can, make up a random property image and, a random name and all this kind of stuff. There's no accountability. So you need to find a company where they actually tag their clients. That might be on Instagram, that might be on Facebook, that might be on a Facebook group or a Facebook page or any other social platform, maybe even here on YouTube in the community tab. But you need to see not just one or two, but dozens, if not hundreds of deals posted consistently with clients tagged. And that helps us achieve the previous item, which was being able to DM the clients directly. Okay, so that's number 5. Okay, and number 6 is to review the numbers for those dozens of clients. So don't just take their word for that deal. Actually analyze that deal. So what was the purchase price? What was the yield? How much was the equity? Was it under market? What was the growth? What was the vacancy rate? Maybe even which state was this? Start to form a theme of the types of results they achieve. Like maybe their methodology only works for people earning $300,000 a year, or maybe their methodology is only to buy really cheap, sub 200K properties in the sticks, whereas you're maybe not a good fit for them, right? It's important to understand the numbers behind their, you could say, testimonials, and see whether that is actually what you want to achieve. Can you put yourself in the shoes, and would you be happy with those numbers? Okay, the numbers are the most important, not what the house looks like or exclamation marks or emojis. I'm guilty of using emojis too. Number 7 is that they must have dozens of client interviews, and you can start to form a view of the typical type of client that they help. Okay, so a client testimonial is not necessarily just a 30-second video of a client videoing themselves and saying, I did PK's course and how awesome is that? Even I have those, but a client interview should allow you to have enough context, enough richness of color to really understand that client's background, to really understand the deal, how they got that deal, whether it was outsourced, whether they did it themselves. It should be a conversation. Like it should allow you to really understand whether this client interview or testimonial is real or not. Like anyone, once again, I'm sure everyone that's listening or watching to this has at least 5 friends. Anyone can fake 5 reviews. That's pretty easy, even like a video interview review. So you need to see dozens and dozens and dozens of these. You need to see people from different backgrounds, different socioeconomic statuses. You need to see people from different, ways of thinking. You need to see an assortment of their clients to gain a picture of what is the commonality between them and what is it that this company is actually doing so that so many of these people are getting results. Okay, that's number 7. Number 8 is that you need to be able to contact the face of the company directly. There are plenty of really successful property investors in Australia who have great, or you could say have great success for themselves, and they've started a buyer's agency, or they've started to sell a course, or they've started to, create a property investment company where they're selling house and land packages. And you'll see that as this property boom continues, more and more of these people will come up, because everyone's trying to buy a service in the property or real estate sector. But what you really need to be able to assess is that a faceless company, or is that a company with a face, and can you actually contact the owner? Okay, because what happens is oftentimes the owner, the person who founded the company, is super successful, but their company may not be successful in emulating their success for others. Okay, it's one thing to achieve it yourself, it's another thing to actually help others achieve that thing. Right? So oftentimes they may have new hires that kind of bumbling and stumbling around. And look, every business needs to start from somewhere. We should cut some slack. My business started from somewhere 5 years ago. Every business starts from the start. So we shouldn't discount a business simply because of that. But the point is that you don't want to just deal with someone who has zero experience in property. You need to be able to establish some sort of connection with the person who leads it, the person who actually knows what they're doing. Okay, so that's number 8. Number 9 is that they must have proven it themselves. Like, of course, most business owners, most people won't share the nitty-gritty of their personal finances. Like, I've done a video on how my portfolio is about 5 million, LVR, loan to value ratio is about 22%, 120k passive income. But, to be very honest, if you, someone in the comments asks me, can you tell me exactly the address of each one of your properties? Can you share your bank account details so I can see whether they're actually real or not? Can you send me the rental statements? Can you send me the tax returns so I can see whether you're faking this or whether this is real? Like, I can tell you, no one with any amount of self-respect will share every single one of those details, all right? So you can't get that amount of transparency, and neither would you, right? Like, if I asked you, prove to me that you earn 100k income from your accountancy job, like, no one's gonna share their pay slips and stuff with, some random person, right? All that stuff is private. So the way to prove whether this person has actually achieved it is obviously through some evidence-based material, but more assessing their content over time. Okay, there's a sort of aphorism that you can lie for a day, you can lie for a month, and you might even be able to lie for a year. But if you're talking about the same thing, let's say property investment, for years and years and years and years, like, at some point those lies will expose themselves, right? You can tell a man, there's an aphorism, you can tell a man who is a fool when he or she speaks, or when they speak. All right, so when someone speaks content, when someone shares their ideas, over time you start to see whether they actually know what they're talking about, or whether they're just regurgitating the same thing using different adjectives. All right, this is very important. Everyone can find out the basics of property investment online. Anyone can start a company. But it's more advanced property investing. You can see yourself over time who really knows what they're talking about. Number 10 is the way that the number 10 due diligence factor that you should consider is you need to be able to form a relationship with this company. In Australia, if someone scams you, it's actually, I've been through this, it's like really, unfortunately, it's really hard to get your money back. You go through fair trading, workers, then you have to go through the legal system, costs money. So if you're spending $5,000 on a course, or $10,000, $15,000 on a buyer's agent, or whatever the case may be, make sure it's an ongoing relationship, not a transaction. Because if they don't fulfill their promise, then there's very little way in which you can get your money back. Of course, there are ways, but it's arduous. No one really wants to go down that path. So the way to assess that before getting their service is to see if it's a long-term relationship or a transaction. Are you paying them for a discrete product or service, or will you have the ability to engage with them for years to come? If it's the latter, then there's some genuineness to it. And number 10, the last thing that you need to be super mindful of is whether you like them, right? Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people who want to do a property investment course, but when they watch me or listen to me, they're like, he's a nice enough guy, but I don't really vibe with him. I'm not on the same frequency as PK. In which case, you should go and find someone who's doing a course that is on the same frequency as you. Same with buyer's agents, same with property investment companies. If it is to be a long-term relationship, if it is to be something you're going to invest thousands of dollars in, you got to at least like the person, all right? And it's the opposite as well. Like, sometimes I respectfully turn down clients because I just see that, we're not like-minded. We're not on the same page. It's going to be a little bit artificial, that sort of connection. It needs to work for both parties, and so make sure you actually like the person, all right? Like what they stand for, like who they are, maybe on and off the field, so to speak. And if you've watched this far, here's a kind of a bonus one. Number 11 is that you can actually do an ASIC search. So you can take a ABN or I think a company name, and you can put it through the ASIC website and see whether they've defrauded or whether there's been any red flags on that company. You can do that yourself. So those are 10 plus maybe an extra one, 11 ways you can do your own due diligence, guys, on any company that is trying to sell you a service. Everyone is trying to sell you something. Everyone in the property market is trying to sell you either a course, hands up, a buyer's agency, or like a property development JV thing, or some sort of program, or some sort of house and land package. There's so many options. There are more than 1,000 options of you could go with. So if you see a Facebook ad and you're like, this sounds great, it probably isn't. It's not unique. It's not special. It's not individual. There's lots others like it. So don't fall for that. Make sure you don't get analysis paralysis and put your hands up and say, it's all too hard, I'm just going with these guys, hopefully it works out. Don't hope for the best, right? Educate yourself. Always remember that the most important real estate is between your two ears. If it's not me, I would be glad. Make sure you go with someone who fits these 10 or 11 criteria for you, and that way you'll actually get success. Property investing is life-changing. I can tell you that. It's completely life-changing, but it can also be life-debilitating if you go with the wrong person. Okay, guys? So tell me, if you watched till the end, thank you so much. Tell me in the comments if there's something that I've missed. Is there another due diligence facet, aspect, criteria that I've missed that you would like to share? And then hopefully everyone can read through those comments and get that value. So guys, if you enjoyed this episode, if you got value out of it, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. And if you genuinely want more of these types of videos, give me a like, give it a thumbs up, and that way this episode will go out to many, many more people. My name's PK, and I wish you all the very best. Catch you later, guys.